Um, anyways, if there's nothing more on that, let's move on to the next topic, which is still somewhat tech related and social media related, actually. And that is TikTok. So, not just TikTok, but social media companies in general. So, basically, what happened was the United States Congress brought a bunch of the CEOs of these big social media companies, like Zuckerberg of Meta and Mr. Shou Chu, who's the CEO of TikTok, among other CEOs. I think Evan Spiegel from Snapchat was there as well. Some of them came like not willingly because they had to be subpoenaed, and some came just willingly. But they got all these CEOs hauled into a room and just questioned them for hours and hours. And what's interesting about the TikTok one is that we all know that TikTok's parent company called ByteDance is a Chinese company. So I think the United States government, the senators, were especially harsh towards Shou Chu, who's the CEO again of TikTok. And there's this one exchange. I'm not going to play the video because it's too long, but I'm just going to read you one exchange that occurred between Senator Tom Cotton, who's from, I think, like Arkansas or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a senator, and Senator Cotton questioned Shou Chu and asked him point blank, "Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?" And Shou Chu replied, "Senator, I'm Singaporean." No. And this wasn't the only exchange, by the way. So if you watch the video, I'll see if I can find a clip of that video and link it down below in the description. But basically, Cotton goes and just basically questions him in like asks him the same question in 5 different ways. It's like, "Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?" And he says no. And then it's like, "Have you ever been affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?" It's just various different ways of asking the same question. And he keeps saying, "No, sir, I'm Singaporean. I'm Singaporean." So I think I have two questions, right? So number one, should TikTok be banned in the United States? And number two, judging from this exchange that I just told you guys about, does this reveal some systemic racism in the United States, right? Because again, you guys know me, I'm the furthest thing from like a social justice warrior lefty that you can get. But speaking as an Asian Canadian, I really do see this exchange as being somewhat racist, right? So the reason why I say that is because clearly it's he's asking Shochu this question because he's an Asian looking man who has an accent. So if if it was Zuckerberg, right, or if it was someone else who doesn't look Asian and doesn't have an accent, then I don't think Tom Cotton would get up there, even if they're the CEO of like a Chinese subdivision of like a company. I don't think a senator would get up there and be like, "Hey, have you ever been interacting with the Chinese Communist Party, or are you a member of the Chinese Communist Party?" Right? Just because like he looks Asian, oh, he must be a member of the CDP. So I think there's some like racism going on, but I'm open to a debate on this, and I'm open to different opinions. Those are my two questions: is do you find this exchange to be racist, and should TikTok be banned in the United States or in Canada for that matter?
Okay, I'll go first. Without saying too much, because I do not want to get canceled, so I'm gonna preface by saying that. Um, so it's like we have a podcast, right? It's the Zillennial Money Podcast. By the way, like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast. And if we ever had a guest, I think it's respectful for us to at least do a little bit of research on the guest before the guest actually coming on to the show to know a few things about the guests and to ask the guests specific questions because of what we already know. It's like I had the opportunity to watch a few of the clips from the hearing, and honestly, it looked like he didn't do any research at all. It seemed keyword ignorant. Reference to our last podcast, by the way.
You mean Senator Tom Cotton, correct?
Yeah, to confirm, yeah. I think without saying too much, I think it would have been better if he just did a little bit more research on the people he was quote unquote interrogating before just going guns blazing. I'll say that. That's the amount I'll say. And then if TikTok should be banned, well, um, like from my perspective, it hasn't caused me any issues. Go ahead and follow Dominic Gong at TikTok. I do post there as well, so promo any chance I get. I think it's kind of creepy how it knows what I want to watch and stuff, but it hasn't done me any bad. And I guess it's a little addicting, but to get banned, I don't necessarily think that should be the case because we may eventually post on it eventually, and I still post on it now. So as of right now, I'm pretty mutual with it. So that's my thought. And then to you, Tristan.
I have a important question. Do we think that Tom Cotton knows, one, where Singapore is, and two, that Singapore is not in China?
You gotta do your research. Is all I'm saying, man.
I'm like genuinely, like, you think this man is aware that this is a different country? Because this is peak American politics. If he's not,
I mean,
like,
so my theory for that is that, like, I mean, to be a senator, maybe I'm like overestimating American politicians. Maybe they are just that dumb, but I don't think he's necessarily that dumb that he doesn't know that Singapore is not part of China. But I just think that he's trying to make a show of it on purpose to his constituents because, again, he comes from a very conservative state where in the deep South, where, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, F China, like we want our politicians to stand up against the CCP. And he's just kind of like so-called throwing red meat to his constituents to show how strongly he's pushing back against the CCP, even though the person that he's pushing back against is not part of the CCP and is not even Chinese.
What it sounds to me like you're saying is that he's relying on his constituents not knowing that Singapore isn't in China. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that this is he's done, if he has done research, he is willfully showing that he's not paying any attention to it. So if Andy's take that he's just, you know, basically showing how tough he is on China by basically harassing the Asian man, you know, that seems like it's pretty much a like basically just being racist at that point. And I think it's leaning into probably the fact that the people in his constituents may be more aligned on that front than not, if that's the nice way to put it.
Right. So on that note, though, do you think a second question, which I asked earlier, which is, do you think that TikTok should be banned in the United States or Canada?
Oh yeah, on that front, no, no. I mean, what's the difference between TikTok tracking everything I do and every other American company tracking everything I do? At the end of the day, someone's tracking everything I do. Someone's got it on a server. I understand that there are issues with the Chinese government, and to be blunt, there are issues with the American government. Either way, I'm not super into them both tracking me, but at the end of the day, you know, who, like, should it be banned? Like, should TikTok be banned for doing exactly what all the American companies are doing? This seems pretty hypocritical to me.
Yeah, and let me just answer my own questions from earlier. Yes, I do think that this was a racist exchange, and I think Senator Tom Cotton showed his deep prejudice and bias in this exchange.
Y'all are crazy.
And yeah, basically, I mean, maybe we'll get some pushback from our American audience if you happen to be in the deep South. But like, this is my opinion, right? You have the right to your own opinion, but judging from what I saw, that's just how I think, right? So that's number one. And number two, I agree with you guys that I don't think TikTok should be banned. And my reason for this is just from like free speech, right? So I think that we can't walk down this road of just banning companies that have affiliations with China and stuff like that, right? Because then we walk down the road of banning companies that have affiliations with Russia, which like we've already done to an extent. But then like it's a slippery slope, right? And then you're gonna like just ban companies from any country that you don't like, and then at what point does that kind of violate human, like the rights of the citizens, right, to free speech and stuff, because you're shutting down a social media platform where people can voice their own opinions that you don't like, right? So I don't think we should walk down this road of just banning especially social media networks, which are kind of the mediums of free speech that we all use. So yeah, that's my opinion on that story.